Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. All right, folks, y'all might remember this video of the young black New Jersey wrestler being forced to cut his dreadlocks or forfeit his match. Check this out. Now, the white ref said no to wearing a cap as the wrestler Andrew Johnson had done the week before. Now, he ended up winning the match, but you can see how upset he was about the forced haircut. The referee, Alan Malone, announced this week he is suing because he suffered emotional distress from the well-deserved backlash. What the hell is that? Joining us now is Melanie Burney, is a reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer, who has dug deep into this story. Melanie, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hello, Roland, and thanks for having me.
So I'm curious, how all of a sudden is he the one who was emotionally impacted by this when it was his action that caused the furor all across the country? And then we found out about his history as well, using racial language previously.
That's the million-dollar question that everyone has. And it will be interesting to see how it plays out, because he was the person who initiated this. And a lot of the backlash and the feedback that we've received from readers and viewers has been, it seems that the wrestler, Andrew Johnson, is the victim here. So that's the question that we'll be waiting to see. If he actually files a lawsuit, what will be the grounds?
And so as you begin to look into this, what did you uncover?
Well, this story has really struck a nerve across the region and across the country. As you mentioned, the video went viral. So I have been following this story since it first broke in December, because I too have been fascinated by it. And what we found is that there seems to be a lot of conversation about what the rules are. And as this investigation goes forward, I think a lot of the attention will focus on what are the rules. Have they been fairly applied, or have they been misinterpreted? So we are waiting to hear what the Athletic Association says and what the Rules Committee will, how they will weigh in on this.
Obviously, this ref, he wants this to focus on him. But how is the young man doing? Has he or his family filed lawsuits, spoken out, or done anything as a result of this?
They have not taken any legal action. And I think what people have to remember is that he's a 16-year-old kid who loves wrestling, and that's all he wanted to do was the opportunity to wrestle. So from speaking with his attorney, he's doing very well. All things considered, he finished the season on a high note. He made it to the regional tournament, and he's going back to just being an ordinary 16-year-old kid. He doesn't want the media spotlight, so he has declined our request for interviews. And I think they just want all of this to be settled and resolved. And I can tell you that his attorney told me that he wants to wrestle again next season. He and his little brother, they want to come back next season and hopefully have no controversy, no incidents, and just be a normal kid.
All right, Melanie Burney, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Joseph, I'm going to link this story also with the young man in New Jersey. Obviously, on one hand, you got 29 kids who were murdered, and you talk about terrorizing. But I'm also use the word terrorizing for what took place with the wrestler in New Jersey. And the reality is what we are experiencing is that black people are consistently being terrorized in this country. Here is a young man who's wrestling, and all of a sudden a cap wasn't sufficient. No, you must cut your dreadlocks. In essence, changing who you are and the essence of who you are, because this white referee said, I'm in charge, either you do this or you forfeit. And the problem that we have is black children are consistently being traumatized, whether you talk about crime in communities, killings, gunshots, but also even in this case where he can't even wrestle because of his hair.
Well, and ultimately the white man becomes the victim. I mean, that's kind of the punchline at the end of the really bitter joke here, is that the white guy figures that he's the one who's really been wronged here when he was just trying to preserve order. And they're all of a piece, right? I mean, they're all of a piece about young African Americans who are dehumanized in a certain way and whose bodies are deemed disposable in the case of the Atlanta child murders, and whose self-expression is being repressed in the case of the wrestler. Now, certainly, yes, he's a young man who's got his future ahead of him. He is going to go on, no doubt, to great things in being able to withstand this kind of scrutiny and that kind of trauma. But it is trauma, and that's the thing that a lot of people are forgetting. You mentioned it yourself about how dejected his body language spoke. He was hunched over. Even though he won, he was not elated. He took one for the team. And that particular story, I'd like to know what was going through the coach's mind, why he didn't say, you know what, timeout, we're walking as a unit. Our man is being called upon to make a sacrifice that nobody else here is. We walk out of this match under protest. That didn't seem to happen, judging by the accounts. And in the case of the Atlanta child's murder, it's so amazing that all of us, save for Kelly, remember where we were. I was 17 years old in Chattanooga, Tennessee, when this was all going on, and it was a monumental event in the lives of African Americans at that time. And that's how much power it had. That's how much power is going to be, how much energy, negative energy, is going to be released in simply opening up this case again.
To Greg, Joseph used the word disposable in describing our children. And the reality is, when we examine the last 399 and a half years of people of African descent being in this country, that really has been the case. Look, we still are covering, the other day, the mother of Amber Evans, the young woman missing in Columbus, Ohio. Is her story getting national attention? Absolutely not. You mean to tell me that if a white female activist all of a sudden comes up missing in Columbus, Ohio, that the cable networks are going to ignore her story? I don't think so. And so we see this all the time. White woman, white girl comes up missing, massive coverage. Black girl, black boy comes up missing, nothing at all. And so we still are living in a society where black bodies are meaningless, are nothing, and you don't have this righteous anger. And then if we do get upset, then it's, oh, how dare you? Why are you so upset? And in the case of this referee, oh, I'm now the victim. I was hurt because what y'all said about me.
This country will never know peace until our common humanity is established as a matter of law and as a matter of custom. It was very powerful to see the press conference today and Catherine Leach stand there, and Mayor Lance Bottoms kept referring back to her. It's very important to see these black women, a mayor of a major American city, and this black woman whose child was killed and who doesn't know peace. And to have those sisters step in the breach and intervene, and think about the scholar Wilma King, who has written about slavery during childhood, reinforcing the fact that black bodies were not seen as human, and the bodies of black children were seen as even more valuable as commodities. Children eating out the slop trough with the hogs. Children who are basically bartered and sold. Coming into the 19th, 20th century, cartoons where black children are always being threatened by alligators or swallowed by animals, or the 10 little ends coming after 10 little Indians. In other words, these are little children. They're not children. They're little playthings. So to see Mayor Lance Bottoms and to see that sister and just have her keep referring back to her reinforces the fact that I don't care how many white men or white women or anybody else goes to court and say that they were threatened. Our lives are only as valuable in this society as we make them. And if the price needs to be too dear for somebody to pay to attack us, then let that price be too dear.
And Kelly, this is why I don't care what generation we're talking about. We must follow exactly what Frederick Douglass said, and that is agitate, 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 and the power concedes nothing without a demand, never has and never will.
Absolutely. There has never been a situation that I've read, that I've been taught, where true change happened through just peace. Something always had to be agitated. Something always had to be interrupted in order for anything positive to happen. And when that happens, it's not necessarily all positive. Sometimes it requires violence, sometimes it requires protest, sometimes it requires you being uncomfortable in order to get comfortable afterwards. So it needs to be a situation, it needs to be some type of movement in which we need to be okay with being uncomfortable, at least for a time, so that the change that we need, the change that we, quite frankly, demand and deserve can come to place.
But see, it was
very interesting. Joseph, real quick, go ahead.
Okay, I was just saying, twas ever thus, though, right? I mean, and even now we're hearing talk about civility. Why aren't our politics more civil? Why can't we talk to one another like we used to? Well, when we talk to one another like we used to, that was a form of subservience if you're a black person. So I don't think that civility is the answer here, and people keep calling for it. I think it's a reaction to what's going on outside of those certain halls of privilege.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBC-You Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline is near March 31st, 2019. Go to FGB.Life, FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our community, and we certainly thank them for being a partner here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.